Everyone, it is Kelly from Kelly's Reading Club, and thank you so much for joining me today for a very special video. Today we are talking about what to do when your 8-year-old can't read. Now, please stick around to the end of this video because I am going to tell you about the most difficult thing you're going to encounter when you teach your child to read, and a really simple way to overcome this problem and solve this problem. So make sure you stick around till the end for that. Now, by the time your child gets to be 8 years old, they're sort of past the stage where we expect kids to start reading. So they're probably starting to feel really frustrated and down about the fact that they can't read. And I expect that you are probably feeling very worried and stressed about this as a parent because it's a pretty big deal. So I'm so happy that you're here because the purpose of this video is to empower you as a parent with some free resources to get you on the right track to being able to teach your child to read. And I'm going to tell you that you may have heard things like, oh, they're just a late reader, or they have dyslexia or ADHD or a learning disability or this or that, and it's preventing them from reading. No matter what is going on with your child, no matter what they may have been diagnosed with, no matter what their past experience has been, I want you to know that 95% of children can learn how to read and learn how to read well. So that means that your child can learn as well. Now, maybe they're not going to learn in the same way as another child. Maybe they're not going to learn at the same pace as another child. That's okay. It doesn't matter because it's not a race and it's not a contest. We just want them to read and they can do it. And you can teach them. You can do it. And I'm going to be here to help you and cheer you along and get you on the right path towards taking action today to get your child reading. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is take a look in the description box below, and you are going to see a free ebook there called How to Make Reading a Breeze. I want you to download that ebook because I've written it specifically for busy parents and busy families, and it has 5 really great tips about how to incorporate reading activities and literacy activities into your day without, spending like tons of boring, awful time on homework and worksheets and all of this stuff. These are really easy ways you can just build it into your daily routine and make it a part of your life. And that is going to really help your child to read faster, to read better, have a love for reading, to develop an interest in reading, and to become a great reader because they're going to be constantly practicing the skills without even knowing it while they're having fun just going through their day. And that's really like the best way to learn, isn't it? So make sure you download that free ebook. It is in the description box below. That's the first thing I would really like you to do to get you on your way to get your child reading. All right, here we are in a little presentation about a few things that you can start doing right now to get your child on the path to becoming a great reader. Even if they're 8 years old, that's okay. Even if they're frustrated about reading, that's okay. We're going to get them going and they're going to become a great reader. I know that you can do this and I know your child can do this. And the first thing I want you to do after you download that ebook is I want you to make an appointment with your doctor or nurse practitioner or healthcare provider, and I want you to go there and explain the situation to them. Tell them that your child is now 8 years old, they are having trouble reading, and you want to get their hearing checked, their vision checked, and any other possible physical barrier that could be preventing them from becoming a reader because it's could be something just as simple as that. I mean, think about it. If your child is having trouble seeing the words on the page, then how are they going to be able to learn how to read them, right? So we want to rule out any possible physical barriers that may be preventing your child from reading, and that's the first thing you're going to do before you even start teaching. You want to make sure that your child is physically able to read, that there's nothing standing in their way. Their hearing is working, their vision is working, whatever else they need to read is all working and it's all there. We want to get that checked out with the doctor, the healthcare provider. Get that checked out first, just so you know. Okay, the next thing you want to do is you want to check your child's knowledge of letters and sounds. Now, we tend to think that just because a child is in grade 3 or they're 8 years old, that by this time they must know their letters, they must know their alphabet. We kind of take it for granted that because of their age that they would know these things. Well, that's not always the case. And I actually have taught students who were 8 years old in grade 3 who were not reading. They would pretend to read because they wanted to sort of fit in with the rest of the class. But when I probed a little bit deeper, I found out they were actually not reading. And when I probed even deeper, I found out they actually did not know all of the letters and all of the sounds. So it is possible that this could happen. So please make sure, don't take for granted that just because your child is 8 years old, that they do know their letters and sounds. You want to make sure that they do. You want to check this out because if they don't, then this is where you have to start teaching them. And great, you're going to know where to start. So here's how we do it. Here's a very simple way to check. All right. So this is not any kind of like serious academic assessment or anything like that. This is a really simple thing that anyone can do, any parent, any guardian, anyone can do this really quick and easy at home. All you need is a piece of paper, or in this case, I'm going to use a whiteboard from the dollar store. It wasn't free, but it's pretty close. And all you need to do is just randomly write down a few letters, like let's start with like some short vowels here. So let's just write down an E. So you're just randomly writing down a few letters. The vowels are a good place to start because short vowels are really, crucial to being able to read even really small words. So you'll ask them like, what is this letter? And can you think of any words that start with this sound? So just talk to them about it and see if they know anything about the letter or the sound, if they can identify it. And if they can't, then like I said, that's where you have to start. Just start with the letters, just especially the short vowels. Just start there and see if your child knows them. And if they don't, that's where you're going to start teaching. So now you've checked to see if your child knows individual letters and their sounds. You've checked to see, especially the short vowels. Do they know the short vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and their sounds, words that start with those sounds, can they identify them? All right, so you check to see. So now you sort of know if they have those basic skills in place. The next thing you're going to do when you start teaching your child to read is you want to work through a sequence of sounds. A lot of parents I see making the mistake of just teaching random sounds. So they're not working through a sequence. When we learn how to read, it's really important to start at the very beginning with just individual letters and sounds, and then, work up from there into, blending three letters together, like C-A-T, to make the word cat. So, and then from there, we work up to digraphs, like two letters that make one sound. And then from there, we work up to magic E, or we're working like progressively through the phonics rules, and everybody may have um a different sequence that they work through, but regardless of what the sequence is, one skill builds on the next, builds on the next, builds on the next. So you don't want to make the mistake of just randomly teaching letter sounds that don't really connect to one another and the skills don't build on each other. That's really frustrating for kids. What might happen is you would have a book that's not decodable. It's just a children's book that you got from the library or from the bookstore, wherever, and you're reading it with your child and you're thinking, this is a children's book, so shouldn't I be teaching my child to read with this book? And you're looking through it and you're looking at the words on the page and the letters and things, and you come to a word like whispered, and your child who can't read gets really stuck on that word, and then you start, trying to teach them the sounds in the word, like WH makes the sound wha, or ER makes the sound You're starting to try to teach them all these sounds that they don't know, but they don't have the skills to learn those sounds because they're still maybe learning that the W is associated with the sound wha, or they may be learning between B's and D's. They might not know the difference between a B or a D. So you really have to start at the level that your child is at and then work sequentially from there. Because if you start trying to teach all these random sounds that your child is not really ready to learn, then you're going to really frustrate them even more and make it even harder for them to learn how to read. And you don't want to do that. So these types of books are okay for reading to your child if they're not ready to read them yet, but you can't use them to teach your child to read because they are not designed for that. They're not what we call decodable. And I'm going to explain what decodable is right now. Okay, so you want to work through a sequence of sounds, and you're going to use books and texts that are decodable, meaning that your child is able to decode, or we commonly say sound out, but decode is maybe a more accurate term, the sounds that they know in the book. So the book is going to be all about sounds that they know. It's going to be exactly at their level so that they will be able to read it because there will be nothing there that they haven't learned yet. They've learned how to decode all the sounds in that text. And I want to show you the University of Florida Literacy Institute website. Okay, here we are at the University of Florida Literacy Institute website. Okay, talking about a sequence of sounds. This organization, UFLE, has very generously put out this toolbox, and it is totally free. And I'm going to link it in the description box below. So many parents are spending a fortune on all these different reading programs and apps and this and that, where this program is super effective. Lots of teachers are using it. Lots of reading tutors are using it because it's so good, and it is free. You can get it free right from their website in this toolbox. And it's great because here's the sequence of sounds right here. So we have the alphabet. We have even pre-alphabet stuff here. We have learning the alphabet. So if your child is still at that stage where they need to recognize letters and sounds, then that's where you're going to start, right? And then on to reading longer words and so on and so on. So you can progress through this with your child, and it's absolutely free. You don't have to pay for some fancy, expensive program, and it has really great stuff. I'm going to click on the digraphs right here and show you that for each sound in this section, you will get Google Slides with an entire lesson on that sound. And the Google Slides, this can be a little complicated maybe for a parent that's just wanting to teach their own child to read, but definitely if you want to use them, they are great. And you can go ahead and explore them, click on them, go through them, practice them, use them to teach your child. But what's really a lot more accessible, I think, for busy parents and families are things like this decodable passage. So we click on that. If your child is learning that SH, then this passage is going to be full of words that have the sh sound in them, the ship, right? And for the most part, the words in this passage will be words that your child has already learned to decode. So they will be able to read this passage. Yes, you'll probably have to help them a little bit, especially the first time, but the second and third time, they'll be able to start reading this independently and getting more and more fluent with it. And what I love about this is that it's not any, preschool baby stuff here because we're teaching older kids to read. Look at it. It's just very neutral. So your older child is not going to feel like this is, baby stuff that they have to do. It looks age appropriate, which is really, really great. So this is what a decodable passage is. The words, for the most part, are going to be words that your child has learned how to decode. They've already learned these skills, and they've learned how to decode these words, as opposed to a book like this that's written more for entertainment and fun, and it's going to be full of words that they have no idea maybe how to decode yet. And that's okay because these texts were written for different purposes, right? So you will want to use the decodable passages from here, which are free, or decodable books that you might get. If you have your own decodable books, you can use those as well. Just remember to follow the sequence of the books. And then there's other great activities here like home practice. There's a list of words to practice reading that sound. There's a little game here, the word chain game. Games are really important because you want to keep your child engaged and make it really fun for them. There's some sentence practice. So lots of great stuff, all for free, which is really awesome. And then there's the roll and read game. I love this game, actually. I play this all the time with my students. So you just roll the dice, whatever number you land on, you read the word under that number and then you cross it off and then you go to the next word, roll the dice again. And it's a great way to practice reading words that have the sound that your child is working on. So this is really fun. This is something that's really easy for parents and kids to play together. So there's all of these resources here from the University of Florida Literacy Institute, and they're all free. And I'm going to link them in the description box below. So, all right. Spelling. Now, I know we're teaching reading. You might think, oh, spelling, what does that have to do with it? Actually, spelling has a lot to do with it because when your child is spelling the words that they are learning how to read, it is going to be a lot more meaningful to them. It's another way for those sounds and those words and all of that to go into their brain because they're using their hands to write. Now they have the extra challenge of having to take that word and that sound and transcribe it onto paper. So we're just making their brain work a little bit harder and expand a little bit more and learn those sounds. So how do you do spelling? Good old fashioned spelling dictation, but you're not going to just give them random words, okay? You're going to give them words that they can decode, that they are learning how to decode. So let's say you are working on the SH sound, all right? So you're just going to give them a dictation of words with that sound and other sounds in them that you know your child can decode, that you know your child has learned how to decode. So if you know that your child knows all of their alphabet and all of the single letter sounds, then you can give them a word like wish. So you're going to say it very slowly. We're going to spell the word wish. I wish I had $1,000,000, using it in a sentence so they know what the word means, and say it very slowly again to them. Wish, and teach them how to listen to the sounds. So when they're writing the word, they're listening to each sound. And if they say, well, what does that start with? Ask them, what sound do you hear at the beginning of that word? What, what letter could that be? And really make them think about what they know about letters and sounds so that they can spell the word out. And you can give them whatever they can handle. If they can only handle one word at a time, just give them one word at a time. If they can handle 5 words, give them 5 words. It's entirely up to you. But doing this every day, this little spelling dictation practice is going to help your child to just really their brain is just going to really grab onto that sound even more. They're going to become better spellers, which is pretty awesome. And you're just having their brains challenged a little bit more, expanding a little bit more to learn those sounds and really, really understand them and be able to use them when they're reading and when they're spelling. So spelling is a really great activity and it's really important, and it's going to just help your child learn to read that much faster and that much more effectively. So definitely incorporate that into your reading routine as well. And you definitely want to make it fun. Like I said before, games are really important because your child needs to be engaged. This is something that we understand a lot better now as educators than we did before, that when kids are engaged and motivated, they are ready to learn. When they're bored, frustrated, angry, resistant, they're not ready to learn. Their brains are shutting down. But when they're motivated, engaged, having fun, the brains are opening up, they're ready to learn, and that's when the learning is going to happen. So you want to really show your child that words are fun and you can play with them. They're playful. Words can be really playful. And I'm going to show you a free a free word search generator right here, and I'll link this in the description box below as well. There are so many of these on Google. All you have to do is Google free word search generator. And what you can do is just pop a title in here, description, not some of them you don't even have to do that. And then make a list of words with the sound that you are working on. So again, let's say it's the SH sound. And you can use silly words too. They don't even have to be real words because you're getting your child to practice reading that sound, right? And sometimes they have to think even a little bit more when they're reading silly words because they don't recognize them. All right, I'm going to hit submit, and da 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 da, look at that. You have a word search. And and look at that. I guess you can even play it. You can download and print it here. You can play it online. So all sorts of different ways that you can do it. Now, let's click download and print and see what happens. Yep, there you go. You can download and print this, and your child can do this word search, which is kind of fun if they like this sort of thing, and it's a great way to practice reading these words. So there's so many different free word search generators, then that's just one type of game that you can play with your child to practice the sounds that they are learning, because games are super, super important. Okay, and another thing that you can do, another fun way of learning to read, a fun activity, is of course watching YouTube like you're doing right now, because you can learn anything from YouTube, right? It's a great way to learn about everything. Now, the problem with YouTube is that so many of the videos there are for preschoolers and kindergarteners, and you don't want to use those videos with your 8-year-old child because they're going to think this is baby stuff. And you don't want to use things that are not age appropriate, because you want them to feel good and confident about reading, and you don't want to make them feel like they're being babied, or we don't want that. We want everything to be age appropriate for them so that they can feel good, like they're doing work that is appropriate for their age. And they are, because they are doing the work that they need to do at this age, at this level, that's going to move them toward being able to read. So no preschool videos on YouTube, because it's just going to make them feel bad about learning to read as an 8-year-old. And we don't want them to feel bad about it. We want them to feel good about it. There are some videos that are age appropriate for 8-year-old children, and they're really fun and really awesome, and they teach them great skills. There's not many of them that I can find on YouTube, but I'm going to put a link in the description box below to the 2 videos that I really like for older kids. And one of them is about rhyming. It's a really fun video about rhyming, words that rhyme with lunch, and that could spark some imagination in your child. Maybe they'll think of, words that rhyme with a different word and a different sound that they're learning, and they can make up their own songs about it. So that's a really fun one. And the other one is about syllables. So clapping out syllables, and syllables are a really important skill, important pre-reading skill, a phonemic awareness skill. So it's great to practice that too with your child. So these are the 2 videos that I've found that I really like, that I think would be useful for an 8-year-old child learning to read. But and I'm going to include them because I want you to use them, but please don't use those preschool videos. We don't want to make your child feel any worse about this or frustrate them at all. There are ways to make this fun, engaging, and motivating, and we want to focus on that. So we're coming up to the end here, and I'm going to share with you the difficult problem you're going to encounter and how to solve it. But first, before we get into that, I want you to feel good. I want you to know that you can teach your kids to read at any age. 8 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old. People learn to read who are 60 years old, 80 years old. We're humans and we can learn how to read. It doesn't come naturally to us, as many people think, like how language comes naturally to us. We do have to be taught. Most of us do anyway, need to be specifically taught, and we need to, train our brains and learn this skill of reading, but it can happen at any age. So, like I said in the beginning, do not give up. Your child can learn to read at 8 years old. It is absolutely possible, completely possible. And the fact that you're here watching this video is great, because you are getting the tools that you need to take action today to start teaching your child to read. Now, here's the hard part. Here's the really hard part. You have to be willing to learn how to teach your child, and that is the hardest part. Actually, teaching your child is not going to be that hard if you do it in a really fun, motivating way, like we've talked about in this video, like you're going to find in the tips in the ebook in the description box below. In those tips, if you incorporate games, if you build it into your daily routine, teaching your child to read is not going to be that hard. That's not going to be the hard part. I bet you thought it was, but it's not. That's not the hard part. The hard part is going to be teaching yourself how to teach your child to read. Because you know what? If you don't know, you don't know. And honestly, I was in that position too, because the way that I was taught to teach kids to read in teachers college was completely wrong. That's a whole other video. But many, this is a phenomenon we've experienced across the United States, Canada, the UK, that we've been going about things really the wrong way, and we haven't actually been teaching kids to read for these past, many, many years. And now we've learned about the science of reading and scientifically proven strategies that actually work to teach kids to read, so we can use those now. But I had to learn about that myself as well, so I know where you're coming from. If you don't know how to teach your child to read and you don't even know where to start, that's really hard. But guess what? The good news is this is really easy to overcome because information about science-based instructional strategies, how to use brain science, brain research, how to use that to teach kids to read is very accessible now, and it is very easy to get a hold of this information and learn from it. And one place that I've learned a lot about the science of reading is Instagram. I told you I was going to have a fun tip for you. So this is really easy. It's easy to go on Instagram, right? And it's easy to scroll through. So it's going to be easy for you to learn about how to teach your child to read because I'm going to link in the description box below my 3 favorite accounts for learning about teaching strategies for reading, learning about the science of reading, learning about how to motivate kids, and how to use the most effective strategies that we have available to teach kids to read. I'm going to link those in the description box below. So follow those 3 accounts because they are really amazing and they're going to give you so many great tips, great games, great information. And before you know it, you're going to become really good at teaching your child to read. You're going to be like the science of reading expert and be like, wow, I can't believe it. I'm doing this. I'm teaching my 8-year-old to read. It's taken so long. They haven't maybe learned how to do it in school. But now you, with your parent power, because you're watching this video, you're here to learn. You're watching all the way to the end. You want to get things done. You're going to take that parent power. You're going to take the action you need to take. All the things you got from this video, you're going to go on Instagram, follow those accounts. You're going to download that ebook, and you're going to start teaching your child to read today. And pretty soon your child is going to be a great reader. And I hope you're going to tell me about it in the comments because I would love to hear. I would also love it if you could comment on any questions that you may have about teaching your child to read, any problems you're encountering in the teaching process, because I would love to hear your comments so that I can respond and that I can give you some advice and some tips and help you out. And I can also make another video on any problems that you're running into so that that can help you move forward in the teaching process. I really want to empower you to teach your kids to read. Reading is a right, and I'm so happy that I can share this information with you and get you on the path of being able to teach your own child to read so that they can become a great reader because they have a right to be. And we can't give up. We've got to keep going. We can do it. We can teach all our kids to read. And thank you so much for watching today. I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye.